In this video, we are going to get into performing those monitoring activities. Now remember, these monitoring activities are typically done on some type of periodic basis. So probably have some of these set up annually. You may have some set up more like a triannual, or you may have these set up so that they are more built into your firm's systems. So let's just take a look here. If we go to the Monitoring and Remediation tab, you will see the tab on monitoring activities. And we developed and designed these monitoring activities in one of the previous videos. So if I scroll down now to those particular monitoring activities, remember they are grouped by their classification. So here we will see all of the partner interviews, and they are all grouped together. So this is going to allow me to have one conversation with the partner and be able to document what they have said in terms of their responses. Now, this may lead to additional inquiries. It may lead to additional work. Based on these inquiries, we may actually identify that there was maybe some risks that were not addressed properly, or new risks during the year, or the fact that maybe their system needed to be revised. And that's really the intention here, is to say, well, is the quality management system working as it's intended, and are their objectives being met? So if we open one of these up using the plus sign, you're going to see the monitoring history. Now, as you kind of continue to do this, the monitoring history is going to grow with the system. So if I want to edit what that monitoring activity is, maybe I'm reviewing it for the year and I'm like, that's really not what I want to do. I can click on the little pen and bring up that update monitoring activity box, and I can make whatever changes that I want to within that and save it. To actually record the monitoring activity being performed, I'm going to come up here to this plus button. So this is where I'm actually doing my assessment. So who is the monitoring being performed by? When was it done? And what is the monitoring activity that was performed? So this is where I'm going to actually document what it is that I did. So I may have inquired with XYZ partner, and there was no knowledge. So that just allows me to say, okay, this is what I've done, document so somebody else can come in and say, yes, you actually did perform that monitoring activity, similar to your working paper files. And if it's not documented, then it's not done. Now, if I found that there was a finding, so let's say that, yes, they actually did have breaches. Did they follow then the policy or procedure that they needed that they were required to do around those breaches? Now, if I said that there is a finding, I would describe what that finding is, and then I would need to say, is it a deficiency? You may have findings that are not deficiencies, but I'm going to say probably in most cases that you are. Determining whether something is a deficiency is really a matter of professional judgment. Does it impact your objectives that you met? Is it perhaps a risk that did not get created and addressed? Is it a policy or procedure that maybe was not designed appropriately and the risk happened anyways? The result of the risk impacted the firm. Perhaps it was that there's a policy or procedure, but it was not actually being followed by the staff and the other partners. So it could be a number of reasons. So if I say it's a deficiency, that's when I need to dive into it a little bit more. And what the standard says is that we need to assess that deficiency and say, is it severe and is it pervasive? So how big of an impact would it be to the quality management system, to the firm? And is it just a one-off, or does it relate to multiple employees or multiple engagements? So the more severe and the more pervasive, the quicker and the bigger impact is that I'm going to have to go back and fix and remediate those deficiencies. Now, in order to determine the severity and the pervasiveness, what the standard requires us to do is to go in and evaluate the root cause. So if there is a deficiency, we do have to document the root cause analysis. So I'm just going to put something in here so you can see how it's going to throw through. So this is a finding. Yes, a deficiency. So the root cause is X. Now, one way that you can go, we do have a resource on documenting root causes, so you could just include that in your documentation. But what you really want to think of, one common way is the 5 whys. So you continuously ask why until you really can't answer it anymore. And usually at that point, you've hit the root cause. I could probably do an entire video on this root cause. So I'm going to leave it there for now. And just know that it is a requirement if you have a deficiency, and that is going to come into and help you form your assessment in terms of whether it is severe and pervasive. Now, if it's severe and pervasive, and if I have a deficiency, I need to remediate that deficiency. So maybe I'm going to do some staff training. Now, at this point, I have not appropriately remediated that deficiency because I just identified it. So I'm going to leave that as no. I'm going to add my assessment so you can see what that looks like. So I have my documentation of my results of those inquiries. I have my finding. There was a deficiency, severe and pervasive. This is my remedial action plan, and it has not been remediated. Now, if I want to go back and edit that at any point in time, I do have my little blue pen. I can click and update that particular monitoring activity. So I'm going to want to do this for every single monitoring activity. And I know it's a lot, but that is what we're really doing here. Hopefully it's, they should be really focused in on where are the policies and procedures that are protecting the firm. What controls are in place by your firm to make sure that those risks don't actually happen, and if they do happen, that they get corrected. So that's under those monitoring activities tab. You will be able to see the monitoring results here. Now, this is what you're going to want to PDF. You can PDF it over here on the right-hand side. You're going to pick your monitoring period, and anything that is done within that period, kind of make it. Any of the monitoring activities that are covered within that period are going to come into this report. So this is your evidence that the monitoring was in fact done. And this is going to help us when we get to our annual evaluation. Now the action plan is here as well. We did develop that action plan for that particular deficiency that we identified. So this as well can be PDF'd so that you can track what is it that you need to do to make sure that that deficiency did in fact get remediated.